5 things. Hey there, Meeple people. This is Mark from the Meeple Society. So if you have followed us at all, you probably know that Jesse and I tend to back maybe a few crowdfunded games. Well, okay, a lot of crowdfunded games.
A few?
Like a stupid amount. Like enough that our New Year's resolution to try to keep to under a dozen this year.
You've already broke?
That's already in danger. I mean, we had Soria, we had Trekking Through History, Tang Garden, and Unsettled, the Western Legends Big Box, and now Pericles come out.
Illiterati.
Oh God, I forgot about that one. Oh my. So would you look at that? We're only in March. So I think it's safe to say that we are the prom king and queen of FOMO high. And while it's always awesome to see all that unbridled potential on GameFound and Kickstarter pages, there's something absolutely wonderful about actually getting those crowdfunded packages to arrive, to see that finished product in your hands, to be able to hold it, to be able to see what your hard-earned money went into, to get that awesome new game smell and enjoy being one of the first to try it out, you know, when work actually, you know, deigns to let you take a day off or something. Not that I'm bitter.
No, not at all.
Not at all. Anyway, we've been really fortunate that quite a few of our backed projects have actually made it to our doors now in the last couple of weeks. So here I get to show my excitement for 5 of them. So here are 5 newly received Kickstarters to make me and Jess giddy. Please note these are in no particular order, and not a single one of them was in the absolutely immense box from Thunderworks that housed Role Player Adventures and the Cartographer's Big Box set, which took up like half of our gaming table when they came in. Number 1, Canvas Reflections. We've really adored Canvas like ever since we got it, and it's easy to learn for even first timers, and you can play it in under a half hour, which means that it hits our wheelhouse like nobody's business. So ponying up for the Reflections expansion was a complete and total no-brainer for us. And the thing is, Reflections does some things that most good expansions should do. It works as an expansion in the way that doesn't make the regular game more difficult or more obsolete. It just offers more options and adapts the existing icons that are already in the game, and they're already fairly easy to understand. So the end result is it adds a little bit more layering to the game, but not enough to be overwhelming. It's still a very welcoming game, which helps out. You simply shuffle the Reflections deck into the original Canvas deck, and then pull out enough to fill the art box in the original Canvas box. There are a couple notable changes. First, rather than 1 line of 4 cards to choose from, now you have 2 lines, which means more choice. You're still spending inspiration to get something that's further from the left-hand side of the line. So no real change there, just more choice. The other thing that really changes is that now some of the cards have what they call a mirror side to them. So one side has different colored swatches at the bottom than the other side, and they may have different elements on them as well. So basically you get to choose which side is up. And then even like more inventively, the painting on the top half of the card, when you flip it over, it could be completely different. Like you may have like, say, a cat head on one side, you flip it over and it's a birthday cake or something along those lines. Or it might be a scarecrow on one side and a robot on the other. It's really inventive the way they did it, and it works out really nicely. They also have an additional type of ribbon, gold ribbons, that you can get these ribbons by placing a required element on adjacent to the gold ribbon icon that's on the color swatch. So it's just another way to increase in-game scoring. So on the surface, it offers more choices without making the game any more difficult. And beyond that, the rules really don't change from the base game. You still have to complete 3 paintings, and you're still trying to attain the goals at the top of the board that that you would in the base Canvas game. It's a great add-on to what is already a visually cool and welcoming game, and we highly recommend it. I'm also really appreciate the way they've got the art set up on this so that the two boxes kind of fit together in the same way that, you know, you would if you had put them on the wall into a mural. That's actually really cool.
That's a lot like the Spice Road series. They do
Exactly.
that. All boxes fit together, though.
Yeah, exactly. No, I like games that do that. That works out really nice.
Yeah.
Number 2, Lock Up, the Breakout expansion. Now, right now, there is very little that Thunderworks Games has done in the role player universe that I am not all in on with gusto. Role player is one of my favorite games. Each of the expansions for role player are equally wonderful and add more to the game. Cartographers is probably my favorite of the roll and write, flip and write genre. And role player adventures, we've talked about that just last podcast, and that is easily one of the most, that's a game I can't get to the table nearly enough. I love the narrative dice and card pushing to it. Now, Lock Up, a role player's tale, we've played it once before, definitely, maybe twice. It came out right around the same time as Cartographers, and I'm going to be honest, it didn't quite hit me and Jess with the same like kind of clutch to the throat, shaking you by the shirt front, demanding feeling that some of the other games did. And it's not really the game's fault. It's a worker placement game, which feels that feels kind of askance in the role player universe compared to everything else. So I think there's a good possibility that we may not have given it a fair shake. And that's not to say that we thought it was a bad game at all. It's just a game where you're playing fantasy bad guys, which is a theme that we really like. And I don't really honestly know why it didn't catch us. And possibly it's just because of the stiff competition, both in the worker placement genre and in the role player universe itself. So that could be just what happens. It's like, you know, when you have a burger joint that does everything kind of okay, but it doesn't really stand out from any of the others and has nothing really exclusive or groundbreaking, it's not the place you usually go to lunch. So it was more completionism and a trust in Thunderworks, who has generally had amazing art and production values, that caused us to back the Breakout expansion in the first place. But just take a look. New events include sending out scouts to creep around the catacombs hidden beneath the prison and seeing what lay down there. There's the possibility of running into spirits or cultists or famous prisoners, all in your continuing quest to garner the most reputation in the prison. So the more I looked at this, the more I thought, you know what? Maybe we didn't give Lockout the fair shake that it deserves, and we need to take a fresh look at it just to see if we can enjoy it for what it is, as opposed to putting it right there alongside role player and role player adventures. So that is Lock Up Breakout.
We picked up the original Lock Up during the Dice Tower retreat. It was one of the games we got from that exchange thing that we talked about earlier in the episode. And I
played it once.
We've played it once. We had never heard of it before then.
Yes.
The only reason we picked it up was because it was part of that world.
Right.
But I mean, it was, like you said, it's okay for what it is. I would be curious to pick up. I'd seen that there was an expansion. I had not thought.
I can't remember if I'd seen the
Kickstarter.
Kickstarter for it, we actually seen it in the store. How long has this one been out?
It's just
Kickstarter.
In Kickstarter, you know what? I think it came out at about the same time as the Role Player Adventures Kickstarter.
Okay. We missed that one too. So we picked that up in store.
It's taken a little bit longer to hit us. We just got it within the last week.
Okay.
So
sure.
I know we've seen
it
and we thought about getting it, but it's like, well, we've only played the game once.
Yeah.
So let's try and play the game more before we go in and investigate an expansion.
Yeah, that's the direction that I think. I think when we first played it, we were so hyped on Role Player, and we were like, yeah, this, and Cartographers was awesome. and it all had this nice adventure feel. And then you played Lockup and I was like, oh, well, it's all right, but it's just worker placement. And I think it deserves to be taken on its own
merits.
Yeah, on its own merits, as opposed to comparing it to the rest of the role player universe. So I think we need to do that.
Agreed.
All right. Number 3, Tiny Epic Dungeons. Okay, so look, if you know me at all, you know I love a really good dungeon crawl game. They tend to be the closest thing in the board game genre to the high fantasy adventure RPGs that I still enjoy and look for as my holy grails when they're done right. But normally there are 2 things that keep me from playing them much more than we do. First, most dungeon crawl games skimp horribly on the narrative and the character interplay sides that are really what I look forward to in an RPG experience. I mean, that's one reason that Madara has been such a breath of fresh air in the genre to me, because it embraces the narrative and it has characters that I actually give 2 tugs about seeing them grow and not just seeing what powers they have. You know, I actually enjoy the storyline and how the characters are involved in it. The other thing that keeps me from playing them is that, well, with great dungeon crawlers come great setup and play times. And so many dungeon crawlers are so damn long, both to learn and then sometimes just to bring and set up to the table. I mean, even Jaws of the Lion, which has everything kind of compacted map wise into a coil bound book, that takes a while to set up. So when Tiny Epic Dungeons came along, at least one of the 2 issues, that being the time length, I figured it was going to be addressed right from the get-go. Tiny Epic Dungeons has a playtime of about an hour on the outside and can be set up in less than 10 minutes. The setup is largely just placing meeples and decks of shuffled cards into preset spots and then stacking your dungeon room cards so that the big bad evil lair is in the bottom quarter of the deck, and then choosing a character. And that's pretty much it. The base game rules haven't been real difficult to grasp. Now, granted, the first couple times we played through, we were looking at the rule book quite a bit. It's more complex than some of the other Tiny Epics, but it's still not nearly as difficult as most of the other dungeon crawlers. The game kind of plays with the heart of a dungeon crawler, but it doesn't force some of the staples of the genre, like square or hex movements, or consisting of heavy duty card play, or worrying about tactical facing, or anything too convoluted like that. It has minis for your characters and screen printed meeples for the enemies, and it has the usual low price point and high quality production that you find in the Tiny Epic games. And even if it's not some apex dungeon crawler game that takes up half your shelf and all day to set up, it's been a blast to play. And I say that even though we're kind of a big fat oaf when it comes to winning at it.
That game demolished us every time we tried to play it.
Ours is still sitting up on top of the shelf over there. We haven't even unwrapped it yet. We got it right before we left on vacation. And it still sits there.
No,
so that bodes well for when we try to play it.
I mean, I felt like the base rules were actually pretty easy. There is some upkeep, and it's, you know, and like I said, I mean, I feel like Tiny Epic Galaxies was easy to learn. Tiny Epic Pirates, I didn't feel like that was too difficult to learn. Tiny Epic Dinosaurs, I didn't feel like that was too hard to learn. I think this is more complex than that, but it's still a far cry from like any of like Madara or Gloomhaven or League of Infamy or any of the games that we've played that, you know, have a lot of the extra rules to it. It just feels like almost like a hybrid game. Like it's a dungeon crawl, but it's a dungeon crawl board game, I guess. Not really so much just a straight dungeon crawl.
It is way more complex than the other Tiny Epic games, though.
Mm-hmm.
It really is.
Yeah.
By comparison. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's all right.
We've moved up quite a bit in the Tiny Epic thing.
Yeah.
This is our 7th now, so
we got a few over there.
yeah. You guys have got a few more than we do.
So we have every one of them but Tactics,
All but Tactics.
with its expansions as well.
Yeah.
So, but
All right, number 4. Oh my gosh. There goes my back. Dead Reckoning. Okay, so this one came as a huge surprise. I hadn't even realized it had shipped yet, to be honest. And suddenly there it was at our door a couple days ago. Out of the games that we've received recently, it is by far the biggest and most sprawling. Dead Reckoning is a combination of a deck building game and a 4X game, all with a pirate theme. You'll be building and leveling a crew using a variation of the card crafting theme that was made popular in Mystic Vale and Edge of Darkness. And you'll be able to customize your ship and explore uncharted waters. And you'll try to gain your fortune by capturing, influencing, and controlling islands and using them for resources. And naturally, you'll fight other pirates and merchant ships along the way. It looks like one of those games that it could be very daunting just because it has a lot going on at once. There are a number of different achievements on the main board. I think there might be 9. Exploring, giving up cargo, gaining gold, building property, leveling up your crew and your ship, controlling areas, sinking other ships, stuff like that. And when you complete 4 of these, you initiate the end of game. The fact that there are so many potential achievements suggests there are probably many different avenues to victory too. And it does look like it has a fairly long playtime. I think the box lists it as 120 minutes. That always works against us when it comes to games that we're going to play. But it also looks like it's one of those games that will draw just because of its sheer table presence. It has an actual 3D ship that you put together that gets used as a cube tower to mitigate your battles. So basically you put cubes into this tower. Where they fall denotes what kind of damage you do, how much you're hit, how much the other players are hit, that sort of thing. And the deck building aspect, rather than you just have this market off to the side, each of the islands you visit have one of these cards to them. So you visit islands specifically to get these cards to put them into your hand. So it's kind of like, rather than the offsite market that a lot of the deck building games have, it feels like this kind of deck building is more entrenched in the actual theme of the game, which works out nicely. So it looks like it's going to be in depth, but if Dead Reckoning hits us, it may also become one of our favorites too. It has a theme. It has a really intriguing look of a mix of deck building, exploration, and area control. And even it has a couple expansions that introduce a legacy system to the game. So we're naturally pretty excited about it. The videos I have seen before of the prototypes and everything like that really kind of excited me. And although I may not be like the biggest, oh my gosh, we've got to pull that out, I really did like Mystic Vale. So I'm curious as to how this card crafting system works in this theme.
I don't know anything about it.
Yeah, unfortunately,
I've forgotten more about it than what I knew about it when it was in Kickstarter. But yeah, it's pirates, and it looks cool, so I'm excited.
It's AEG, and AEG has done a really good job recently with games. So I'm hopeful that this continues the whole run of good games from AEG.
Okay.
All right. And finally, number 5, Creature Comforts. See, now I had never even heard of kids' table board games before Facilis. Before Facilis came out, or Fossilis, I guess, is probably the more correct. There's an extra I in there. It should just be Fossils. But the production values and the gameplay on this made me actually sit up and take notice. So naturally, when Jess suggested she would back a game called Creature Comforts by the same publisher, I was fine with it. And the more I thought about it, the more I liked the idea. I mean, the idea of controlling kobolds and goblins and minotaurs and coming up with the best ways to decorate their lairs with furniture and amenities. I mean, come on, who wouldn't be thrilled about seeing something like that? I mean, just, I see if you can get troglodyte with a Louis the 16th chair and an armoire to guss out the cave. And wait, what is this? No. Wait. These are cute forest creatures. What the? A nice bowl of soup, a comfortable rocking chair, and some toys and games will go a long way to make those dark winter days pass quickly. You work through the seasons in preparations for winter? What the? Where are the real creatures? Where are the goblins? I don't even see a funny tree ant. Did you seriously back an even more cutesy drawn Everdell? What the you want from me? Come on, baby. I bought Meadow. I bought Ecosystem. Oh, my sweet mercy. What's next? Are you going to back something that shoehorns funning cats into it? Are you trying to turn me into a cat lady, Jessica? Okay, seriously. I did know all about this going in, and it actually looks like it's a really cute game, and we really bought it largely with Lyric in mind. So don't take that at face value. Kids Table board games really do have some really good games, and I've been very impressed with their production values and their play. So I was all okay with it. And it really looks like this will be a nice little casual fun game, and that's really all you look for when you back a crowdfunded game, is something that you'll enjoy bringing to the table for a long time to come. So no, I actually did know.
I like having games for different holidays and seasons, particularly keeping our child in mind.
Mhm.
So our Creature Comfort seemed like a very good fall, autumn, Thanksgiving game, because it's all about getting ready for winter. And we have really enjoyed Kids Tables board games. They've done like Food Fighters,
Yes,
which is one of our child's favorite games. Yes, they did Fossilis.
they did Haunt the House.
I can't even think. They've done so many cute games that are very specifically for children. They're out of Canada.
Yeah.
So that one, I don't even think I talked to him about it. I think I just backed it because I wanted to.
Yep.
But no, they're a really good company. They make really great games with children in mind. Just very wholesome games that have really good mechanics. That don't undermine their intelligence.
Yes.
That push it. So
Push the
definitely
boundaries.
recommend them.
Okay. I was going to say, is this a good time to tell you we got our Isle of Cats expansion in Kickstarter right before we left on vacation also? So now we have cute little cuddly kittens.
Yeah. Now you have a gigantic box of cute and cuddly kittens.
I do. I have a gigantic box of cute and cuddly kittens.
You just keep those damn kittens over there.
You love board game table games. They just released a game all about cats on Kickstarter.
Yes, and I will not be backing that one. They also back one. They also have one about basketball, honey. Are we going to get that one?
I'm going to guess that's a no.
Secretly, Mark's wanting to rush over and play the new
I know he is. Yeah, because it's also got little creatures in it, if that helps. Little like dragons and.
Do they burn the cats?
No, probably not.
No. Sorry.
That would make the game a little more interesting.
It would.
No. No, you two are just, there's something wrong with both of you.
All righty. And that is Mark's 5 things for this episode.